Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flame out. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.
What is going on, everybody? Your man Eric Wilson in for the Sports Arena. Yes, on a Monday night. Happy holidays to everybody. Hope we had a good Thanksgiving, but you know what? We got business to address and some things to talk to, and I talked about some of them earlier today, so kind of let's dive into them. Now, first and foremost, y'all know me. I am probably one of the biggest Eagle fans, and I'm also one of their biggest critics. And today seems to be a little bit of both because, first off, the team has won 9 straight games. Doesn't matter if they're pretty. Doesn't matter if they're ugly. The fact of the matter is they're winning. Atop the NFC, it is Detroit, Philadelphia, and everybody else. So it begs me to ask the question, what in the world is going on when apparently there seems to be some type of disconnect between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown? Now, I have sat and I have tried to piece together where the issues may lie. Could it be the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles offense this season is heavily predicated on the fact that one Saquon Barkley is just running up and down every field he touches and being a huge component into the success of Philadelphia? Now, when the run game is effective, the pass game isn't going to be as effective. Finding that balance is a very tricky thing that needs to be done in the NFL. So when we talk about Philadelphia, it's one of those where you start the season 2-2. And of course, the questions about Sirianni, him and his quote unquote outlandish moments, whether it be with the fans, whether it be with the media. But the team after the bye week has begun to catapult themselves into the playoffs and into the conversation of, are they on a course to not only face, arguably right now, it would be the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game because 1-2, or will they move themselves past that and get back to New Orleans to potentially face, whether it be the 2-time champion Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens, the Buffalo Bills, maybe even the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we'll get a moment or a glimpse, shall we say, of that this coming up Sunday. But for Philadelphia, why y'all fighting? What's there to argue about? Y'all winning. 1 week, it's going to be the Saquon Barkley show. The next week, it could be the Calcaterra show. The next week, it could be the A.J. Brown show, or the Devontae Smith show, or the Jahan Dotson show, or the Kenneth Gainwell show, or hell, even the Jalen Hurts show. I mean, I'm really trying to wrap my head around the fact that right now, this team is on a momentum. And it appears as though sour grapes are hitting the locker room. What does this remind me of? For those who are true Eagle fans, you will understand when I say this. This reminds me of when Donovan McNabb had Terrell Owens. And there was a disconnect. And it appeared it only lasted for a small amount of time. But as the season progressed, you could see there was some type of breakdown between that quarterback wide receiver combination. I say this respectfully to both Jalen and to AJ. Throw Devontae in there. Figure it out. Because if you three are supposed to be the Gotham Knights, if you three are supposed to be the gentlemen who control the tempo when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagle offense, because by all means, Saquon is like, look, I'm going to get mine. Y'all go ahead and eat too. So if there's going to be that disagreement, can we please work it out? Because we are in December. And if Detroit should ever so slightly slip up, we could get the number 1 seed. We have locked in ourselves into a playoff position. By the way, thank you, Seattle, for that one. But we did it also on our own by stringing off 9 wins. Do us, as fans, do me, as a guy who loves this team, a favor. Let's keep the in-house stuff in-house. Let's not let the media run with stories that might not be altogether 100% accurate and true. And let's focus on the mission. Because the same thing, which is the same thing, ain't changed. We got to win our division, albeit I see Philadelphia doing that. And then we have to make a run in the postseason. Oh, and ultimately, as I said before, we need to get ourselves in the mindset of how we are going to be able to beat the Detroit Lions, who are just running over everybody. It don't matter whether it's in Ford Field or if they're going into somebody else's house. The task is simple. But when you deal with these other complexities, that could be a recipe for us to not be able to finish what we have started. So, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, do all of us a favor. Talk amongst yourselves and figure it out. Because we, as fans, and myself, as someone who loves you and does this, we going to ride with you no matter what. But trust and believe, if this little back and forth is going to continue, y'all going to hear from us. You already know we are never ones as fans, Philadelphia Eagle fans, to be quiet. We're going to voice our opinion whether you want us to or not. Very much like I say when I do my rants, I'm just a loudmouth with an opinion. So whether you like it or not, here it goes. Give me a minute. I'll be back because I do want to talk about the 2-time Super Bowl defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. I believe, the answer on how to not only keep yourself on the same page as Kansas City, but I might have an inside look to their playbook. I'll be back in a moment.
Connecting your brain and body with interactive games and tests. Why is there no physical activity in today's health physical? Trazer is an holistic technology used to rehabilitate, prevent falls, and improve sport performance. Trazer reports provide you, your clinician, your physical therapist, or athletic trainer objective data to make decisions on your health and performance over time. Measure what matters to change your game. Take the Trazer Challenge. Confidence, growth, connected by Trazer.
Welcome back into the Sports Arena. Your man, Eric Wilson. Yes, on a Monday night. So let's talk about the 2-time Super Bowl champion, first place in the entire NFL. Shocking, I know, for most people. Kansas City Chiefs. Now, listen, Kansas City, here's what I've learned about them. Just when you think you figured them out, they add something new to their arsenal or they surprise you with something that you just did not expect. So I had to go back and do some rewinds and look at the style of play, specifically for the offense, because we know what Steve Spagnuolo and Chris Jones and that defense can do. That's never been an issue or never been an obstacle that you couldn't figure out. Anybody who has ever had to face Steve Spagnuolo while he was either a head coach or a defensive coordinator, here's the one thing you know. That defense going to shook you every which way they possibly can. But when we look at Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and we look at the Kansas City Chiefs, they always seem to be doing something that makes all of us have an ah moment. We're like, how did he do that? How did they pull this off? What was going on? Here's what I think I have figured out. Do you know why I think people, for lack of a better phrase, lose sight of how to beat this team? I think it's because they spend too much time thinking about how to beat the Kansas City Chiefs as opposed to simply going out and beating the Kansas City Chiefs. And what I mean by that is simply this. If you stick to your game plan, you know what has brought you to the table each and every week you've played teams in the NFL. You make minor adjustments, but you stick to your plan of attack. Teams are successful. But Kansas City, what they do is they just go out there and play backyard football, at least on the offensive side. Now, roll with me on this one, because here's what I think. If you look at the games where the opposing team for Kansas City, be it Denver, be it Carolina, the Chargers, the 49ers, the Bengals, it really doesn't matter. Everybody went into that week knowing they were going to put their best foot forward in an attempt to beat the two-time Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, led by 15. What happened? One, you already know, do not, under any circumstances, in the fourth quarter, give Patrick Mahomes the ball with time left on the clock. Because that is when we see the improbable become reality. Okay? That's just the long and short of it. So you know you're going to have to control the clock. You know you're going to have to make sure that you are able to move the chains. But most importantly, keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. Because in doing that, it gives you, the opposing team, the opportunity to seal the deal. And only one team has been successful in doing that this year, and that was the Buffalo Bills. So congratulations to Josh Allen. If he wins the MVP award, it'll truly be because that brother just understands, not only from a physical standpoint, because he is truly a man amongst boys sometimes out there on that field, but he understands the mental aspect of not letting the game get to be too big. But for Kansas City, they continually keep saying, well, they haven't played their best ball, or they're not in a position, or they're slowly getting back to where they were. Do they even understand that all y'all are doing is going out there? Let's think about this. We had the backhanded pass in preseason. We had just this past week, we had Patrick Mahomes jumping up in the air and throwing the ball. Mahomes isn't doing anything, I will say, different or out of the norm, but he's just truly going out there saying, okay, if my play breaks down, I'm going to backyard football. We just going to throw it up and everybody just knows where to be and what's going to happen. Now, yes, that does speak to the team understanding where to be at the appropriate time. We also got to give love to Andy Reid because he allows Patrick to be Patrick. But this is why this team only has one loss. It's 12-1. And for the fifth time have pretty much sewn up the AFC West and are on a course to where if you want to get to New Orleans and you want to get to the Super Bowl, you got to go into Arrowhead Stadium, one of the loudest stadiums out there. I think if teams take away the mental, not fully, but partially, not as much as don't put so much time into it, just go out there and play the game. I think they might have a bit of a different result. Whereas they might get the W versus Kansas City, always seeming to find a way to get it done at all three phases: offense, defense, and in the case of Sunday, special teams. Because that doink could have went either way. But as Mike Tirico said, it was a doink for the division. When we return, I want to talk about another team. More specifically, I want to talk about another player. And you know when I say these three words who I'm talking about. You like that? We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the Sports Arena. So, last week, I was fortunate to be a part of the Blonde Blitz with Deb Whitkus, and she asked me about a particular player in the NFL and my thoughts on him. So, I want to replay that for you and then give you an update on how I feel. Give me a moment.
Kirk Cousins in Atlanta, 4 interceptions.
Whatever. He's done. He's done. He's done. Listen.
I've actually interviewed Kirk. He's a lovely person. Good quarterback, just not showing it. The Falcons are unraveling. Like that, they're pretty much done. I mean, they have so much talent. I mean,
And
great.
Here's the crazy thing.
Name them.
Deb, here's the crazy thing. They still have a shot
at the South.
They're tied with the Bucs right now.
Mm-hmm.
So they could get in. They have to win the division. They could get in.
Yep.
But here's my thing about Kirk Cousins. I am sure, and you know this better than I'm sure he's a great person. I'm sure he's great, a great man.
Football, though.
When it comes to him at the quarterback position, whether it be him in Washington, him in Minnesota, or him now in Atlanta, I just have not seen the Kirk Cousins that everybody is expecting. Mm-hmm. This is a man who has thrown for 4,000 yards and has had he's had great regular seasons, but he gets to the postseason and it's like, where are you? What happened?
Yeah. And he's not good with night games either.
Oh, listen, I've always said this. If it's after 4:30, Kirk Cousins can't win a game. I've always said that.
Yep.
I said from 1 o'clock
to
about 4:30. Yeah. I'm like, yo, bro, you can do it. After 4:30, something happens.
Yep.
And I'm just like, what? Please explain to me what it is.
Yeah.
Because we know you got it in you.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think he should be benched for Michael Penix?
No, because the Atlanta Falcons are still in contention to win the division.
True.
You go with the guy you brought in. Okay. And I feel like if they get into the postseason, there's a slim chance, but they might be able to do something. They might upset somebody. That's why I said the NFC South is a dark horse.
Yeah, there's a lot of people calling for.
All right, so you heard what I had to say with regard to that. And I meant it. I said, if you brought him in, you keep him because you've invested the time and the money and the resources to get this guy because you thought he was one of the pieces necessary to not only win the NFC South, but to possibly make a run in the postseason. I am changing my opinion from last week to this week. Get rid of him. He done. You go back to Minnesota, a team that for all conversations and everything, Cousins was supposed to be that dude when they had Alexander Madison and they got Justin Jefferson. He was supposed to be that missing piece to get this team to the postseason. And what happened? Did they get there? Yeah, but did they get to the promised land? No. So, I think at this particular stage, because when you get beat 42-21 on a team that you went back into their house, it wasn't supposed to be Sam Darnold having a day. It was supposed to be Kirk Cousins reminding everybody, y'all let me go. But I'm going to remind you that you made a mistake. No, they didn't make a mistake. And it wasn't even supposed to be Sam Darnold. It was supposed to be J.J. McCarthy, but he got injured. And look what Sam Darnold is doing. Having a career season. We are in gut check time. The Falcons, as they currently are right now, sitting in the NFC South. Yes, they're 6-7. They are a game behind Tampa. The only thing they have going for them is the fact that within the division, they're 4-1. Okay? And if you look at their next 4 games, they go to the Raiders on Monday Night Football next Monday. Then they play the Giants. Then they play Washington, and they finish up in Carolina. So on paper, the Atlanta Falcons have the ability to finish 10-7. Now, let's look at the Bucs. The Bucs schedule: Chargers, Cowboys, Panthers, Saints. Okay. If the Bucs slip, then yes, the Falcons still have that opportunity. But Kirk Cousins isn't that dude. And Denzel, you're absolutely right, my brother. Yes, the Saints are also a game behind. So, I mean, it is still a 3-dog race to win the division. But let's be real about this. They're going to be one and done whichever team it is. I want Tampa. I picked Tampa in preseason. Tampa was my pick to win the NFC South. If the Bucs get in, I feel representing the South, they could win their home game, which would be arguably against either Minnesota, Green Bay, or probably one of those 2 teams at the 4-5 spot. But then for them, that's it. I feel like if Kirk Cousins and the Falcons get in, it's a one and done. I just think it's time for the Falcons, more importantly, the fans, and most importantly, Kirk Cousins to realize, you know what? You had a good run. You have one of 2 choices, my friend. Either A, you can impart your wisdom and knowledge to an up-and-coming young quarterback and be a backup somewhere, or simply say, it is time for me to step off the field. Because I do not, in my personal opinion, I do not feel like the Kirk Cousins that everybody wants is the Kirk Cousins moving forward that we are going to see. Now, by all sorts of the imagination, the brother could prove me wrong. I just don't believe it. Time will tell. I'm back in 10 seconds. All right, ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor and riddle me this one. How is it that a team, which I'm still blown away by this because I've been looking at these numbers all day and I still am trying to understand how this happened. Okay. Josh Allen, 22 of 37 and 342 with 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Josh Allen also had 10 rushes for 82 yards. Cook was 6 for 20. Shakir was 5 for 106. Amari Cooper was 6 for 95. Matt Collins was 4 for 57. And the Buffalo Bills lost to the Los Angeles Rams. Josh Allen put up amazing numbers yesterday and lost. That typically happens. We've seen it happen in the Super Bowl. That doesn't happen during a regular season game. There's always some type of turning point. The turning point was the fact that Matthew Stafford had his 2 guys in Kupp and Puka Nacua. And the Los Angeles Rams are healthy. That is a team that I don't care who you are in the NFC. If they continue like this, you do not want to see them in the postseason. Because Matthew Stafford has proven to be the Iron Man. And now he's got his tag team on either side with Kupp and Nacua. But I want to talk about Buffalo. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what else Buffalo needs to do. I really, truly, in my heart of hearts, don't. Okay? Buffalo, we always talk about Baltimore. And we always talk about how the goalpost always moves back for Lamar. Every time he gets and accomplishes that one obstacle that everybody says is in his way, the goalpost moves back 5 more yards. I think the same thing honestly could be said for Josh Allen. Because Josh Allen continually is the guy who, it doesn't matter if he has Stephon Diggs or doesn't. It doesn't matter if he has Gabe Davis or he doesn't. The offense runs through Josh Allen. And at any given time, this man, this athlete, this quarterback for the Buffalo Bills can change the tide in an instant and be the reason the team wins. And everybody is still saying, don't put yourself out there like that. Don't, you're going to injure yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. The man of steel is in Buffalo because he done did it. He done rushed for 20. He can throw the ball 70 yards. The missing piece is winning in the playoffs against Patrick Mahomes. In the regular season, you got it. But now you have to, again, like I said earlier, you have to go into Arrowhead, at least for this season, and you've got to find a way to beat this team. You've got to find a way to beat 15 and 87. But for Buffalo, I'm looking at this, and again, their schedule. Who do they play coming up on Sunday? Oh, that's right. The Detroit Lions. Questions are being asked. Could this be a potential Super Bowl matchup that we see in New Orleans between these two teams? Because after that, Patriots, Jets, Patriots. All right, well, Buffalo's own these two teams. I mean, realistically, at 10-3, Buffalo is either going, in my opinion, they're either going to finish 14-3, 13-4. That's what's finna happen. But again, in doing that, we know what Buffalo is capable of. Are they going to be able? Again, let's ask the question. Is this the year that Buffalo finally gets past that kryptonite of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid and that Steve Spagnuolo defense and finds themselves with the ones hoisting the AFC trophy and making their way to New Orleans for an opportunity to do what has not been done and win the big one? For Buffalo, let's see what happens because it does start this Sunday. There are some very interesting matchups going on this Sunday coming up that have major implications with regards to the postseason. And we are going to truly get, in my opinion, a true view of what not only the postseason is going to look like, but also what the possibility of a Super Bowl matchup could look like. Now, I typically do not discuss the college football playoffs. I stay in my lane, ladies and gentlemen, let me be honest with you, because I am truly an unbiased person. No, I'm a biased person. Let me just say that. Sorry, not sorry. I'm a biased person when it comes to college football. I have one team that I cheer for, and that is, in fact, Penn State. Y'all already know we are. But again, shout out to my brother. Forks up, he's a Sun Devil, Jerry. Mike Caratanudo. I know he's home watching his Cowboys take on the Cincinnati Bengals right now. But yes, the Sun Devils own the Big 12. Congratulations on securing the number 4 seed. So let me say this, all right? To Clemson, SMU, Indiana, Tennessee, the Ohio State University, Notre Dame, Penn State, Texas, Arizona State, Boise State, Georgia, and of course, Oregon. Congratulations. You are in the 2025 National Championship playoff tournament. For everybody who is sitting here saying that the committee got it wrong and that Roll Tide should be in there, with all due respect, I say this somewhat sincerely. Y'all can kiss my backside. Okay? Because I'm not going to sit here and let a 3-loss Alabama, a team that did it to themselves, get in to the 2025 National Championship game. There ain't no way. Alabama was this team for a decade plus that every year it was Alabama or the field. And we, as fans of football, just like we did with the New England Patriots under Tom Brady, we did with Alabama Crimson Tide under Nick Saban. Who was going to be that team? Who was going to be the individuals that were going to rise up, take a shot, and dethrone the legacy and take out Thanos, if you will, or Dr. Doom or Darkseid or whoever you want to throw at it at the time? Okay? Someone needed to step up. And yes, as my man Denzel Slice put, Bama got crushed by a 6-loss Oklahoma team. So how can we justify putting them in? Well, guess what? They're not in. So to the 12 teams that I did mention earlier, congratulations to y'all. But I had this conversation the other night, and I would like to hear from everybody in the comments when it comes to this. The Big 10, the Big 12, the ACC, all of these power conferences, the SEC included, are all striving to be the top conference in college football. So my question is simply this. Right now, today, if you had to pick a conference and said that this conference reigns over the other conferences in college football, is it still the SEC? Because in having this conversation, there were two, and it actually boiled down to just one later on in the evening, of who is that new power conference, if you will, dominant conference. And I mean, if you look at it, the argument could be made that Big Ten is the now dominant conference in college football. Did they have to go get more than 10 teams? Yes. Did they have to make adjustments in order to compete with the SEC? Sure. But isn't that the art of competition? Isn't that what makes the game so great and gives us that excitement, gives us that intrigue, gives us that reason why we will sit in front of a TV for 8 hours on a Saturday? Because we want to see, well, can, let's take, for example, an Arizona State beat a Clemson? Can an Indiana maybe upset a Georgia? You know what I mean? It's those questions that cause us to sit where we're at and watch. I believe that as the playing field is somewhat leveled, because I don't believe it ever fully will be, there will be a new regime to rise to power. But now you go from being the hunter to being the hunted. Can the Big Ten, can they maintain their level of dominance, much like what Alabama did for the entire SEC? We shall see in time. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for your man, Eric Wilson, here on the Sports Arena. Great night. Thank you to people in the comments. I really appreciate y'all. All love in the world. You know it is. Every Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on all my socials. Everybody stay blessed, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.